All right, so every week I get questions about these. And that's why it worked out perfectly to stop this video right there and jump into theoretical perspectives. Theoretical perspectives are understandings. If you want, think of them like, well, most of you being Christians are going to jump on this and say, well, there is only one right way. But think of it in the concept of studying religion, and there's Christianity, there's Islam, there's Buddhism, there's Hinduism, and all these different things. Now, to be a true studier, a true student of religion, you don't go in with the concept of everybody else is wrong, mine's the only one that's right, everybody else is stupid, dumb, and horrible. I mean, maybe you do, but then you're not being a very good student. And so theoretical perspectives, when it comes to studying culture and society, would be kind of like the different religions. Certain people hold to certain ones. A lot of people hold to many aspects of different ones. The theoretical perspectives just allow us to understand wide swaths of people. Okay? They're not mutually exclusive. You can hold the multiple views at once and everything else like that again. So the religion analogy is not perfect, but you understand what I'm saying. Now, when it comes to these theoretical perspectives, these are just larger ideas that help us group thoughts together. So, with that in mind, functionalism. Wow, and I'm covering up part of that. Sorry. I mean, it doesn't really, it says perspective, but I'll move. There you go. Functionalism. According to functionalists, remember, functionalists want everything to work together. That's why we have our little bike sprocket, our gears and sprocket. Everything works beautifully. The bike runs beautifully. One of these brakes, one of these, I think they're teeth technically, the little spokes on the wheel. One of those gets bent, things start going wonky. But when everything is working beautifully together, it's functioning perfectly. Okay? Functionalists. They want everything to function. Everything has a purpose in what's going on. For functionalists, then, deviance, both the people deviance and deviance as a whole, as you see up in that corner, they clarify rules for people. There is a function, there is a point to deviance in a functionalist mind. Look, it clarifies the rules. You can now look at someone who has a lot of tattoos and say, ugh, ugly, if that's your viewpoint. And that clarifies a rule for you. Tattoos, ugly. No tattoos, beautiful. It clarified the rule for you. And that deviance functions there as a rule clarifier. Secondly, it brings people together. That's what deviance can do. So remember, not all deviance is criminal. An example would be living in whatever city you live in and going for a walk. I don't mean just to your mailbox. I mean literally go for like a 4-mile walk around your house. And your parents are probably gonna be like, why did you do that? And if you told your friends, oh, hey, I went for like a 4-mile walk today, they're going to say, why? And then if you start doing it regularly, you're going to get people that look at you. And trust me, I've done it. I've gone for walks in the middle of winter in Wisconsin and I had people pull over. Hey, do you need a ride? Nah, bro, I'm going for a walk. And so deviance can help bring people together. Who? The walkers in this instance. We all have common complaints. We all have common stories that brings us together and unites us. I always use the example of Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go is a great example of bringing people together. They're all deviants. They're playing video games. It's anime. They do a lot of walking, generally speaking, but it brings us together. We have a massive community of people who play this game. Functionalist, Deviance brings people together, shockingly enough. Also, Deviance promotes change. When you saw with like the marijuana example, in all 50 states, for the longest time it was illegal. Now more and more states it's starting to become legal. The functionalist perspective would say deviance in these different areas, sometimes criminal, sometimes not, start to bring about change. Functionalists look at the world from the top. They see how things interact, how they work together, and that's what they focus on. Functionalism. The next one, oh, we went out of order this time, but that's fine. Symbolic interactionism. People get confused by this too. Are we getting conflict next? Maybe I should jump ahead. Let's jump ahead to conflict. We'll come back to this. Conflict theory. God, I just don't know where to put myself today. Hold, please. I'm going to keep moving myself around. Conflict theorists. Functionalists want everything to work together. Conflict theorists say, no, there is no working together. Everybody is fighting, especially over money, especially over land, especially over resources of some sort. They're fighting. So what does deviance do? I'm going to get this right one day. Deviance, the norms, the cultural norms, benefit the powerful within society. And so these norms, remember, functionalists are all about the norms. They show you where the line is between good and bad. Well, the conflict theorists would kind of agree. They say, yeah, they show you where the line is between powerful and not powerful. Norms are there to help people who are in power stay in power. That's all norms do. They don't help the little guy. They just help the big guy stay where he is. Deviance, also in conflict theory, allows elites to avoid the deviant label. Why? Because the elites are the ones who end up making up what the norms are in conflict theory. And so if they don't want to be deviant, they just kind of relabel something. One example we'll get into in our next video is like white collar crime. Crime is a horrible thing, but when it's white collar crime, then a slap on the wrist is a little more appropriate, right? Well, wait a minute, why? We think of Bernie Madoff, although that might be a little bit before your time, but we think of these people who take companies for millions of dollars, or these companies who do massive damage. PG&E, go look up who they are and some of the fires they've started. And they have to pay a $50,000 fine for destroying homes and communities. These people should be labeled as utter deviants, and yet they're not, because they're the powerful. They're the elites. They can avoid these labels as they want to. That's what happens. Got to go back now, symbolic interactionism. So those two, functionalism, conflict theory, look at things from the top down. Symbolic interactionism, now we're focused on how people interact with each other, hence interaction. How do people interact with each other? Well, as we interact with each other, deviance allows other people to be socialized into deviance. As an example, I play Pokemon Go. Because I play Pokemon Go, 3 of my children so far play Pokemon Go also. They're not allowed to until a certain age, so I almost want to say all of them, but the other 2 technically don't have phones yet. And they don't actually have phones, but that's a whole other topic of discussion. But because I'm a deviant in that regard, my children are deviants in that regard. They are socialized into deviance to think that it's okay. If you walk into my house, and you maybe can even hear it, my children play the piano. We read books. We are deviants in so many ways compared to cultural norms. And my kids were socialized into that. They were taught this is the way that things are. It's not elite domination. It's not bringing everyone together to sing Kumbaya. It's just They were socialized into this. Symbolic interactionism. How we interact with people, who we interact with, builds up who we are and who we become. Symbolic interactionism. So those are your three perspectives. I went a little long. Next time we're going to jump into more deviance, crime, so on and so forth. So I'll see you then.